Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset podcast. My name is Constant Brooks, and this episode is going to be week 23, 9 to 5 experience. And it's like, bro, it's a mess. Like, I guess week 22, you know what I said, it is basically right. It is like, you have to just basically just leave, just ignore the stats because you will be disappointed. And then what happens is that you have to just basically just focus on getting the basics down. And the weird thing about it is that in this week 23 is that you don't know if like you're being every day uh you're being coach not coach but you're being basically monitored to see if you're doing the right thing or not. So you're going down to the basics, but you don't know if this could be the breaking point where it'll be like, oh my god, they're gonna fire you because you're not performing. But it's like the thing about it is that you have to actually just get the basics done. Because what happened was that this I started the month because we're in a new month now. We're in May. And what happened is that I started this month with the worst. Like like the stats that I'm trying to get, if you remember, is like the stats we have to get these two stats together. And what happens is that if you listen to my episode, you're getting paid for doing things that is outside your scope. And being penalized for it. What happened was that I started this month with with that thing. Like legit, what happened was that all those stuff I had to do the right thing, and when I did the right thing, I was being penalized bad, and I started the 5 days be like, bro, and if you're basically going there to say, okay, I'm just going there for the money and be like, oh, I want to get these stats, that's really depressing. That's really depressing because what happens is that you know that this is the right thing to do, but every time you do the right thing, it's like, yo, you're being penalized for it. And it's like, it's depressing. So it's just one of those things where, like, that week and this week actually just cemented the thing that I mentioned in the 22nd week where we're like, yo, you really have to just basically just go back down to the basic, just basically just ignore the stats and just focus and getting the fundamentals down so that when it clicks forever. You know. Um what's next, bro? The stats change. So and I'm starting you don't know, this month we start getting surveys and stuff like that. So I'm getting judged by the people and by the people that I'm talking to on the daily. And what happened is that I actually got a stats this week and I did well. I got 80%. Still wasn't the target, but I got 80%, which is far more than when I started, which was I got 50 the first time. So it's like, something is working. As I said, I just stick to the thing that they were telling me because the supervisor, they there's a reason they're the supervisor. They know more. So it's like, you have to just listen to them and basically, it, their guidance works. So that's it. So now that stat is relevant now, where basically I have to ensure that I'm doing the best way of dealing with the client, so that I'm getting these positive reviews, so I could actually get paid out for it. Because that's an important part of it as well. And these stuff are important in the communication aspect of learning this stuff as well, because no matter how good you are, bro. Like legit, you learn this in the job. Like no matter how well you can solve these problems, these people always come in and just it's like, bro, it's like they really do. when one thing you learn about in business is that the customer, no matter, it always looks down on you. Like and it's something I know, but when you're in the other seat, it's like it's really bad. Like what happens is that when I go to the doctor and the doctor prescribe, the doctor is a professional, but you have, like, for example, your family. Your family may be knowing a lot of other stuff and be like, okay, this is the reason. It's like when you go to the doctor and the doctor say, okay, yeah, this is what is wrong with you. Your family be like, oh my god, no, no, that's not it. That's not it. And they have their own recommendation and stuff like that. Even though they eventually may follow the recommendation of the doctor, and sometimes the doctor is wrong. As for example, I'm doing this work, I'm not always right in that I have to sometimes consult other people to actually do this work. So but n- but what happened is that all the calls, the customer was never, or the customer was never the specialist, in the sense that they had the solution. Some of the calls, some of the time they had the solution and it worked because they actually just did something and it worked for them. But all the times they relied on me to make the judgment, because that's the reason why they call. So when you go to the doctor, that's the reason why you go there, because you are sick and you want the assistance, and they deem you as a professional. But what happened is that when you're actually talking to these people, it's like yeah, you have the profession, but it's one of those things you realize it's in our business, no matter what you are. Once you're the leader or the specialist or the basically the business owner, because the client really looks down on you. Like they come in and they expect a certain thing. They expect a certain standard. And what happens is that because they are the person that is spending the money, they believe that they have all this power over you, and because you want the dollar, you're supposed to bow down to them and just submit to their demands. And it's like, oh my god, bro. It's just one of those things where in this work, you have to actually learn to take on that. I was learning it in trading, but it's one of those things that you really have to sort of focus on, that where you have to actually take control of the conversation, like legit focus, be like, yo, I'm the professional. You have to just work with me and stuff like that. And it's really hard because all these people, they come in with this very high self esteem, and it's like, oh my gosh, bro. And it's like yeah, so it's one of those things that I learned this week, where as I said, I'm focusing on getting the fundamentals right. But when you actually start focusing on getting the fundamentals right, you see all the obstacles that you have to overcome. And this is one of those many of these obstacles you have to overcome. You have to actually learn how to take control and be like, okay, yeah, I am the professional. And these are the stuff that I realize that the supervisor are able to do. That's the reason why when I get some certain call, they be like, oh, I want the supervisor, because the supervisor has got enough training to know how to actually deal, how to actually take control of the call, beyond all those stuff. And it's like it's one of those things where it's like hierarchy is apparent in a competent company. Like all those stuff that I spoke about is w- the the higher you reach, the more the fundamental of what you say becomes relevant. Be like, yo, yeah, that's the difference between a real supervisor and me, just the agent, just talking to the person. Like, I have to get this. If I don't get these fundamentals right, I won't be anywhere close to actually getting that thing to become a supervisor. That's the reason why they're more of my profession in the company than the supervisor, because the supervisor ability is way more than what I could do. And it's way more than what a lead could do. Because what happened is that I have my supervisor. And what happened was that the person that taught me in training is on my team, but he is not the supervisor either. He's just another person taking calls just like me again. And it's like one of those stuff be like, wow, that's the difference between. And what happens is that the supervisor calls him actually coach him and be like, yo, and he's there and he's taking the he's taking the criticism and actually going there and execute it and be like, bro, you have to realize this was the person that was teaching me, and he has someone that he has to look that he has to submit to, and it's like he's submitting, and he's submitting like yo, because he knows that yo, he's not that level as yet, and that one of those things you have to realize that yo, hierarchy is competent. Like, bro, I thought he knew a lot, but the supervisor, she or the person is the supervisor for a reason. And it's like one of those stuff that you got you learn in this week. Like we learn that yo, no, you're progressing, but you still have more to go. That's the thing. And I guess the old stereotype, Rome wasn't built in a day. That is true. Like you don't become pro overnight. You have to actually put in the work and get the fundamentals down, and through consistency, you're getting better, and then boom. Yeah. So that's basically what I learned this week, and bro, I'm still there. Just and I'm out here trying to reap the benefits. Yeah. So that's basically it for this episode. Thank you for listening, and look forward for our next episode. Hmm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.